members of the House Committee on Appropriations have united to swiftly approve the proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President for the next year. MJ Mondejar has the report.
The leftist lawmakers from the Makabayan bloc failed to take up any action after the abrupt termination of the budget hearing for the Office of the Vice President. Vice President Sara Duterte was present in the House of Representatives to defend the proposed budget of 2.385 billion pesos for the Office of the Vice President in 2024. After the AVP presentation detailing the allocation of funds for the next year, this is what happened.
In line with the long-standing tradition of giving the Office of the Vice President parliamentary courtesy, I move to terminate the budget of the Office of the Vice President.
I object,
We have
Madam
a motion
Chair.
duly seconded. We have 21 members of the Committee on Appropriations manifesting for the approval of the motion. The Chair declares for the motion to terminate the presentation of the budget approved.
Consequently, the leftist representatives were unsuccessful in questioning the confidential funds of the OVP. In the 2024 proposal of the OVP, 500 million pesos is allocated for confidential funds. The Vice President's office uses these funds for matters related to national security.
Ma'am, ang bilis po na approve ng budget nyo. Congrats, ma'am.
In total, the budget hearing for the Office of the Vice President did not last for more than 10 minutes. The House Committee on Appropriations took a few minutes of rest and convened for the 2024 proposed budget of the Department of Education. Once again, VP Sara defended the budget as the Education Secretary alongside other officials. The next year's budget for the education sector is 924.7 billion pesos, a 3.3% increase from this year's 758.6 billion pesos. VP Sara admits that the funding needs to address the rising numbers of students. Thus, they have two strategies to address this.
The Department of Education is currently pursuing two tracks to solve the problems of basic education. Of course, we are there with the traditional build more classrooms and hire more teachers track that has been the solution of previous administrations and previous secretaries. But right now, we are pursuing another track as well, and that is learning from the lessons from the pandemic, where we want to institutionalize the blended learning program.
According to the younger Duterte, blended learning is a solution to classroom congestion and a shortage of teachers, among other challenges in basic education. The DepEd will rely on modern technology for teaching. Congress members then questioned the proposed 150 million pesos intelligence and confidential funds of the DepEd for 2024. However, VP Sara asserted that the program is crucial for student protection.
Considering the universe of shortages in the Department of Education, which would need adequate funding, Madam Secretary, would you voluntarily withdraw your request for confidential funds?
Madam Chair, there is a purpose and a need for confidential funds in the Department of Education because basic education is intertwined with national security.
VP Sara leaves it to the House of Representatives and the Senate to decide whether to grant the requested confidential and intelligence funds for the two agencies under her jurisdiction.
With that, the Office of the Vice President said that the programs, activities, and projects that are meant to be funded by the CF 2022 had already been identified by their office. For Ganamibul of Philippines, MJ Mondejar, SM9 News.
Pastor Policy Kibuloy defended Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte from allegations by leftist groups. Daniela Paulita reports.
Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ is confident that Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte can answer the allegations of ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro against the Office of the Vice President over the 2022 confidential funds. To recall, Representative Castro said that the Office of the Vice President spent 125 million pesos confidential funds in 2022 without congressional authorization. In a statement, Vice President said that there was nothing irregular or unauthorized about its spending and the required liquidation and accomplishment reports have been submitted to the oversight agencies. Pastor Apollo believes that ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro wants to undermine the credibility of Vice President Sara because she protects the children from the deception of leftist groups.
And I know that the motive of this leftist group is just to undermine the credibility of our Education Secretary, which will fail miserably. They are trying to find fault with her because she is assailing them by this confidential fund that would help her protect the children from being recruited by this leftist group to become NPAs. So that's why they hate her for that.
Meanwhile, the good pastor reaffirmed his full support to the leadership of Vice President Sara.
We are going to support the Vice President and Education Secretary 100%.
The Vice President has been urging the Makabayan Black to end its rabid vilification against the OVP over the 2022 confidential funds if it does not have any substantive information to back up imputations of misuse. For God and my beloved country, this has been Daniela Paulite, SMNI News.
Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ has commended President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos's approval of the Regional Specialty Centers Act, which is aimed at establishing and institutionalizing specialty health centers across the Philippines. Details of this report from Fatima Nauzil.
Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy supports the approval of the Regional Specialty Centers Act by President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. In a statement, the good pastor highlighted that this is a significant step towards assisting fellow citizens who lack the means to travel to large hospitals, especially those residing in remote areas. Pastor Apollo also shared that Barangay Tamay in Kalinan, Davao City already has a fully equipped special health center which will continue to expand its services.
Dito sa atin, sa Tamayong, meron ng isang special health center dyan, kompleto na. Merong ultrasound, merong x-ray, merong ano pa yun ba? Marami pa yun. Nandyan na lahat. Ginagawa na sa ating barangay. Super Health Center ang tawag. At saka marami pa siguro Super Health Center ang gagawin sa iba't ibang mga po. Magandang hakbang yun. Makakatulong yun sa mga walang kaya na malayo na punta pa ng Manila. O kung may kaya, punta pa ng Manila. Kung wala naman, maghihintay na lang ng kamatayan. So, magandang hakbang.
It can be remembered that last Thursday, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. approved Republic Act No. 11959, also known as the Regional Specialty Centers Act. This law aims to ensure accessible and affordable healthcare services for all. The law also prioritizes the establishment of specialty centers for cardiovascular care, lung care, renal care, and kidney transplants, brain and spine care, trauma care, and many others. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Fatima Nazil, SMNI News.